Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, you've got to coach him at various points of his NHL career. What have you seen from him in your kind of second tour of duty with him in the last year or so, compared to maybe the first point in his career?
Yeah, I saw someone who got the taste of playing deep in the playoffs last year, and that's what's driving him to have the year that he's having. Is that I think he wants to be a key cog on a good team that has a chance. And last year's playoffs and his experience there, I think, is what drives him forward. Yep.
Sorry. You've had a chance to coach Connor and Leon, and everyone in the NHL kind of thinks of those two guys. Where does Ryan Nugent-Hopkins kind of fit into that pantheon here in Edmonton?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the longest-serving Oiler. He has, I think, a chance to go down as maybe most games played in Oilers history, as he works his way through his career. He's someone beloved by the fan base. Flies a little bit under the radar because of some of the other names that we have on our roster. But he does a lot of really good things on the ice, touches every aspect, makes a lot of good, subtle plays that go unnoticed by maybe the general public, but are certainly appreciated by his teammates and certainly his coaching staff. I think he's part of the group of players that we have that have kind of grown together and whom all have an intolerance for anything that's going to get in the way of winning.
I just want to ask you about the importance of having games that are still meaningful here, heading down the stretch. Obviously, a big game on Tuesday. How much does that help? Because you want to stay at that high level going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think with where we're at, with where the Pacific Division's at, with wanting to make sure our game's in the right spot, all that kind of stuff factors into us wanting to get better every day. And that's been a theme right from day one. We like where our team's trending. I don't think we're at the level we're capable of yet. But I think as we work our way down the stretch, every game's an opportunity or a dress rehearsal to make sure we're going to be ready in Game 83.
This is an interesting trip because you have 2 off days in between games, which is almost unheard of when you have 2 of them.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of fill that time? Or do you do team bonding activities, or do you just let the guys say, hey, do your own thing type thing?
Yeah, I mean, we practice. Yeah, that's what we do. We're professionals. It's an important time of year, and I think we have one day off in Colorado. But it's a time of year to make sure that we're sharpening our game, and we do that in practice. We don't, as a coaching staff, we don't really force any team bonding. We're going to go bowling or anything like that. We're all professionals, and I think the players take care of that on their own. I think the best team building is when you win games.
Now, we talked to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins about this. He says the 100 points he's not really concerned, but it seems like the guys around him want it more for him than he does for himself, I guess. How does that kind of rally the troops, knowing that there's a milestone here for him and the guys want him to get it?
Yeah, well, I think that's probably in the back of people's minds, but foremost in everyone's mind is the 2 points that are up for grabs versus the team that's 1 point ahead of us right now. And, I know Ryan would likely trade 0 on the scoreboard, but 2 points in the bank for our team. And I think that's where our team mindset is. I think if we just play the game the right way, all that individual stuff takes care of itself.
Jay, you mentioned Game 83 a lot this year.
Yep.
And you kind of just said you're happy with the trend there. And what kind of little tweaks do you need to get where you're going to be totally happy going to Game 83?
I think there's as you're working your way down your stretch, you're always fine-tuning. You want to making sure you're playing at a certain level of pace. You want to make sure you're firing on every cylinder, meaning we're getting the most out of every person that's in the lineup. I think there's different aspects of the game, whether it be the neutral zone, whether it be the offensive zone, the defensive zone, special teams, those type of things. These are dress rehearsals, live fire dress rehearsals, where we can continue to sharpen up and make sure we're ready.
Jay, to you, what is the difference between the energy in this city, outside the rink as well, between the regular season and the playoffs?
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate. I've got to see some runs here. I think, you look outside on the street after a game and it's electric. You feel the sense of community with everybody wearing the blue and orange. I think hockey means a lot to the people of Edmonton, a lot. And our team and our players, we all recognize that, and we're going to work to make them proud.
Jay, Ryan Murray has been on the ice for the last few days. How close he is to return, and is the plan to play him at least one game before the end of the season?
I would say that it's a good sign that he's on the ice with the team, but I don't think there's him going into the lineup is imminent or anything like that. I just think it's a good sign for us that he's, he took pregame skate with the team the other day, and then today a full team practice. That's a real good sign. He hasn't. We didn't really bump around out there today, so it wasn't a ton of physicality, but he's continuing to make steps. He's going to travel with the team on this road trip, and I think, the healthier he gets, the better it is for everybody.
And about the other Ryan McLeod?
Yep, Ryan.
Chance we see him on the trip?
Chance, yep. There is a chance. He's coming with us. Again, for Ryan, it's he's feeling great and looking good and everything like that. It's just making sure that we're taking the time while it's there, not rushing anything, and want to make sure he's 100% healed before he's back in the lineup.
Jay, the Nurse-Cece pairing is really been good here down the stretch. I know Cody was kind of battling through a nagging injury there for a bit.
Yep.
What's been the difference from your view in the play, specifically of those two? You guys obviously still put them out again. Like the last game, Kopitar was a hard match.
Yep.
What have you liked from that pairing? And then again, maybe as individuals.
Well, I think Darnell's really picked his game up here too. On the defensive side of things, I mean, he just set a career high the other night. And like I said, he's been a plus machine. I think those two players together, they give us an experience level versus some of the top players in the National Hockey League. They've seen hard matches, a lot of the year. There's been some good moments, and then there's been some learning moments. It hasn't all gone perfect, but I think they're a big reason why we have the record we have.
And lastly, from a coaching tactical standpoint, is there a significant difference? Is it much harder to get a matchup you want on the road? Or is it just more so you just got to be more flexible with guys and be more aware on the bench at certain times?
Yeah, you know what? I'm a firm believer that we have a lot of really good players. And, I don't fear the matchup, so to speak. There might be stuff I look for or want to get away from, those type of things that happen during games. But I'm comfortable that the people that we have on our team and the people that I can put on the ice can get the job done in any situation. That's a luxury for a coach to have, and I'm lucky I have it.
Stuart Skinner kind of flies under the radar in terms of the Rookie of the Year because the forwards get all the ink. Do you feel he should be in the top three for Rookie of the Year?
I think he deserves to be in the conversation as well. And I'm not as I don't really focus on who's in the mix, so to speak, in those kind of races. My mind is on our team and trying to finish off our regular season as best we can. But I think the numbers that Stuart has put up command attention. I think he went to the All-Star game. I think he won Rookie of the Month in the month of March. So certainly he should be in that conversation, but that goes way above my pay grade in my head in terms of who gets that award.
Our pay grade's not that high either. From a coaching standpoint, last game, only 2 LA centers took face-offs in the first period, Kopitar and Deneau. Did you notice that they're somehow, no matter what line was out, they were taking the face-off?
Well, both of those guys played a lot of minutes in that game. The way that game played out is the way that game played out. I did notice that. I pay attention to that type of thing. And, I think we have the people in here that can make the face-off dot a very contentious place, and they do too. They got some really good centermen, but it's incumbent upon us to make sure we rise to that challenge.
And does it seem, I don't know what the word is, but difficult that you've played so well for 3 months, but you can't get past these other two teams?
No, I think what these last couple of months in the race in the Pacific Division, I think that makes you better. I think the competition makes you better. It's just like competition within a team for ice time and stuff like that. When you have multiple people playing well, I think it pushes you to make sure your game's where it needs to be. In the end, we're going to try and finish as high as we can. And we'll finish wherever it is we finish. We think we'll be well prepared for a playoff series versus any team that we play against. We're humble and respectful of all teams in the National Hockey League, and we know that when the number of teams goes down from 32 to 16, that your level of preparation has to go up. But we feel pretty prepared heading into this last couple of weeks and into the playoffs.
One last one. You still seem to be going back and forth between 7 and 11, 12 and 6, and perhaps some of that was Devon Shore not being healthy enough.
Yep.
Does the seventh defenseman get a chance to play enough? I know last game against LA, you dressed 7, but Broberg only played 4 minutes because it was a tight game, and you were rolling. Obviously, Dave felt fine rolling the 6th defenseman.
Yeah, you know what, I thought in that game, if you looked at the minutes played by their 4th line, it wasn't very high. So, the minutes play out the way the minutes play out. The game plays out the way the game plays out. Philip, when he was in against Vegas, played a lot more, different type of game. We feel good when Philip's on the ice. I think he's going to be a really good defenseman long term, but certain types of games play out in certain ways, and in the end, our coaches are trying to win and our players are trying to win. It's our job to make sure we're ready when our number's called.